and bonkers TikTok diets are all the rage. And why are the seats so damn small on the airplane? Because it's hard to be a person with a body these days.
Welcome to Indulgence Gospel After Dark. If you're listening to this, you are part of Extra Butter, which means you're our favorite burnt toasty.
Your support makes all our work possible and keeps Burnt Toast an ad and sponsor-free space.
Today, we're going to talk about fatphobic things that people say, thin people say, without realizing it. And I think any fat person you talk to probably has an example of this.
Or a dozen examples of this.
Or a dozen examples of this. And we asked Burnt Toast readers to share stories from their own lives in the chat. And we're going to talk about a couple of examples that we stumbled across recently.
On the internet.
In the course of our jobs.
In the online world in which we live. Yes.
Yeah.
We are going to talk about Caroline Chambers. We are going to talk about Haley Nahman. We're gonna get into some stuff that's been happening with the thin folks. Obviously, since I just mentioned some high-profile people, you might think this is going to be like a really juicy, gossipy episode. That's not really the goal here. I think of this as more an opportunity to have some moments of catharsis for fat folks, as we so often have to endure these comments, which can be, again, unintentional but really harmful. And that's something we all live with. And it's just good sometimes to list them and be like, yep, that happened. And then I also think hopefully this is instructive for thin listeners. I assume if you're listening to this podcast, it's because you are interested in divesting from diet culture. You are interested in unlearning anti-fatness. And that is not always easy or comfortable work. And sometimes we have to be willing to look at wow, I did say a not cool thing. And that was my thin privilege. I didn't even realize it was harmful, but how can I show up as a better ally? So I hope this episode will be educational for you.
Yeah. I also think a good thing to mention about that is as fat people, we experience thin people making these type of comments, but also we as humans also make these types of comments about other groups of people. I'm sure I've made an offhanded comment that was harmful to someone who's Black or someone who's trans.
Yeah.
Or someone with kids. You just
offend me
happens.
all the time as a person with kids.
I am so sorry. I try not to. I love kids.
Literally never said anything offensive about children.
Okay. Well, I just can imagine,
Right.
We don't always have other people's sensitivities in mind.
Well, the whole thing about privilege is it makes you unaware of the other experience. And so this is why we have to look at it. You can say something without any intention of how it's going to come across, and it will still, intention does not impact. It will still cause harm.
And so anyone who does this is not like bad or evil. It's a normal part of life and still worth talking about.
All right. So I think I first sent you the Caroline Chambers piece that we were going to chat about a few weeks ago. She wrote about getting dressed during pregnancy. It's called Getting Dressed is Kind of Hard Right Now. And that is very relatable. Getting dressed during pregnancy is very hard. So no quibbles with that.
I was going to pretend that I had just organically stumbled across this article about getting dressed while pregnant, Virginia.
No. How would you have organically stumbled?
I was going to be I write about clothes. Carolyn Chambers, of whom I'm a fan. I own her cookbook.
True. All true. But I am the one who was oh, did you see that piece? There were a few comments in it that made me pause.
Yeah, I think the comment that made me pause, which I then quickly highlighted and restacked, was her saying, I think loose dresses like this polo number, with a link to the dress, are really cute while pregnant, until your stomach extends past your boobs, and then it starts to look like you're wearing a circus tent. I've reached circus tent status.
Yeah. And you restacked that and you said, here to tell you that it is in fact cute to wear loose dresses when your stomach extends past your boobs, whether you're pregnant or not, which I support 100%. Yes.
Yeah, I stand by that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. This is just a perfect example of these kinds of comments. When you are a thin person